All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're tackling habits.
Habits.
Yeah, how they work, how to change them,
Yeah.
how to basically use them to kind of upgrade our lives.
Yeah.
And our guide for this deep dive
Okay.
is James Clear's Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits.
Really great book.
Yeah.
So think of this as a chance to
Okay.
upgrade your personal operating system.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
A personal operating
Personal operating system, right.
Yeah, that's great.
Like we're getting in there, the nuts and bolts of how we operate. One of the things that I thought was really interesting was this idea of not focusing so much on willpower.
Willpower, yeah.
But really thinking about the actual science of how we change.
Absolutely.
How our behaviors change.
Yay. Yeah, I think what's so compelling about Clear's approach is it's very much grounded in the science. But then he gives you very practical steps to implement that.
Practical philosophy.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, I can handle that.
Exactly.
Like a little philosophy as long as it helps me get things done.
Exactly.
One of the first things that really grabbed me was this idea of tiny
gains.
It's
this idea that
it's the idea that
you don't have to make these massive changes.
Right. That we shouldn't get discouraged by not seeing huge results immediately.
Right away, overnight.
Yeah.
And he uses this great analogy of the ice cube.
The ice cube.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I feel it.
if you're applying heat to an ice cube for a while, nothing seems to be happening.
Nothing.
Right. But all that energy is building up. It's being stored.
Right.
And then you hit that critical threshold of 32 degrees. And boom, suddenly the ice melts.
So let's say I'm trying to build a new habit.
Okay.
Writing every day.
Writing every day.
Right.
Yeah.
And I sit down, I'm staring at the blank page.
The blank page. Yep. And
Nothing's coming out.
nothing's happening.
Yeah.
That's the ice cube.
That's the ice cube still frozen solid.
Still frozen solid, right.
You're putting in the effort,
Yeah.
but you're not seeing
Yeah.
those immediate results.
Yeah.
The key is to keep applying the heat,
Okay.
to keep showing up,
Kept showing up.
putting in the work,
Okay.
and trust that the breakthrough is coming.
So even when I feel like I'm spinning my wheels,
Yes.
that effort is
It's still doing something.
doing something.
It's rewiring things behind the scenes.
It's accumulating, right?
It's accumulating, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better
Yeah.
about those.
It takes the pressure off a little bit.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. The other thing that I thought was really interesting. Yeah.
Was this idea that
Okay.
it's not about setting goals.
Setting goals.
It's about
changing your identity.
changing your identity.
That at first felt a little
Yeah, that's kind of a radical idea.
radical, but I'm
Yeah.
starting to wrap my head around it.
So instead of saying, I want to write a book,
Right.
you start thinking,
Okay.
I am a writer.
I am a writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every time you sit down to write, you're reinforcing that belief.
Oh, interesting.
You're solidifying that identity in your
That's-
mind.
So it's not just about achieving this thing.
Right.
It's about
who I am.
who you are. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm a writer.
You're a writer.
I sit down to write.
You're right.
It's like I'm proving it to myself.
You're proving it to yourself. Exactly.
Yeah.
Creates this
That makes it feel
sense of purpose and meaning behind your actions.
a little less pressure.
Less pressure.
Right.
You're not just going through the motions.
Yes.
You're embodying this new identity.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm building this new identity.
Okay.
I'm putting in the work.
Putting in the work. Yep.
Even when it doesn't feel like it's doing anything.
Even when it feels like nothing's happening.
Yeah.
But
But how do habits actually work?
how does it actually work?
What's the mechanism behind them?
Yeah, like what's going on in my brain?
Right. And Clear breaks it down
Oh, yeah.
into this framework that he calls the habit loop.
The habit loop.
The habit loop, yeah.
Uh,
And it starts with a cue,
Okay.
something that triggers the habit.
A trigger.
Yeah. So let's say you
Right.
walk into the kitchen
Uh-huh.
and there's a bowl of fruit
Bowl of fruit.
on the counter.
Okay.
That's your cue.
That's the cue. All right.
That's the trigger.
I walk in. I see the fruit.
You see the fruit.
What happens next?
Then the cue triggers a craving.
A desire for something.
Okay.
So maybe you start thinking,
Yeah.
that apple looks good.
Okay.
That's the craving kicking in.
The craving. Okay.
Yeah.
The desire
Sorry, got it.
that arises in response to the cue.
Cue, craving.
Then that craving
Yeah.
leads to a response.
The response.
The action that you take.
Okay.
So you pick up the apple
I pick up the apple.
and you take a bite.
I take a bite.
Okay.
That's the response.
Cue, craving, response.
And then the final piece of the puzzle.
The final piece.
The reward.
The reward, okay.
The satisfaction you get from the action.
Okay.
The apple tastes sweet and juicy.
The reward.
That's your reward.
Makes sense.
Right.
So it's like this.
And that reward then reinforces the habit.
Oh, okay.
Making it more likely.
Interesting.
You'll repeat the behavior next time.
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle.
It reinforces
It's a loop.
Loop.
That keeps reinforcing itself.
Okay. So
cue, craving, response, reward.
Cue, craving, response, reward.
If we want to change a habit,
right,
we can target any one of those stages.
Any one of those stages. Yeah. Okay.
You can make the cue invisible.
Oh, interesting.
Make the craving unattractive.
Okay.
Make the response difficult, or make the reward unsatisfying.
Right.
Or if you're trying to build a good habit,
right,
you do the opposite.
You do the opposite, okay.
Make the cue obvious,
right.
Make the craving attractive, make the response easy.
Makes sense.
And make the reward satisfying.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we can manipulate this.
We can play with this loop.
Yeah, play with it a little bit.
Yeah.
To make it work for us.
To make it work for us, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how to actually put this into practice.
Okay, yeah, let's get practical.
Clear outlines what he calls the 4 laws of behavior change.
4 laws.
Make it obvious.
Okay.
Make it attractive. Make it easy.
Right.
And make it satisfying.
Make it obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying.
Yeah, those are the 4 laws.
4 laws.
So let's start with make it obvious.
Make it obvious.
This one seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it does.
But one of the techniques he suggests is creating a habits scorecard.
Habits scorecard? What's that?
It's this simple but powerful exercise where you write down all of your daily habits.
All of them?
All of them, yeah.
Okay.
The good, the bad.
Everything.
Everything.
Really?
All of it.
Okay, so
you're taking inventory.
Taking inventory.
Your autopilot mode.
Autopilot.
Yeah.
All those things I just do.
All those things.
Without thinking about them.
Yeah, without even thinking about them.
Okay.
And once you see them,
right.
you can then start to make conscious choices
right.
about which ones to keep,
right.
which ones to change,
Got it.
which ones to eliminate.
So that's make it obvious.
That's make it obvious.
Okay.
About awareness.
Awareness.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He also talks about implementation intentions.
Implementation intentions.
Implementation intentions.
Yeah.
I remember reading about those.
This is where you get super specific.
Super specific. Okay.
So instead of just saying, I'm going to exercise more.
Right.
You create a concrete plan.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Give me an example.
Like after I finish my morning coffee.
Okay.
I'm going to go for a 20-minute walk.
Oh, I see.
That removes any ambiguity.
Yeah. So I'm not just saying I should do this.
You're not just hoping you're going to do it.
I'm pre-programming.
You're pre-programming your behavior.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm not relying on
exactly
like willpower in the moment.
You're not leaving it up to chance.
I'm setting myself up.
You're creating a clear trigger and a specific action.
Interesting.
Making it much more likely you'll follow through.
This reminds me of habit stacking.
Habit stacking, yeah.
Which is where you chain a new habit.
Yeah.
Onto an existing one.
You chain a new habit onto an existing one.
Right. So it's like after I brush my teeth.
After I brush my teeth.
I'll meditate for 5 minutes.
I'll meditate for 5 minutes.
Right. Is that, that's habit stacking?
Is that the same idea?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
You're using the momentum of an existing habit to help a new one take root.
To piggyback.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a clever way to leverage your existing routine.
So we're making it obvious.
Make it obvious.
We're being very specific about
it. Yeah.
And we're using existing habits.
And you're stacking your habits.
To like kind of pull us along.
Pull you along.
Yeah.
All right, so that's make it obvious.
Make it obvious.
Let's move on to the next law.
Okay.
Make it attractive.
Make it attractive.
Uh-huh.
Where does that come in?
So this is where dopamine,
the brain's feel-good chemical, plays a starring role.
It's all about the dopamine.
It's all about the dopamine.
Right.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that the anticipation of the reward is often more motivating than the reward itself.
Than the actual reward.
Yeah.
So it's not about...
It's not just about getting that delicious cookie.
Right.
It's about the mouth-watering daydream about that cookie, that anticipation.
So my brain is like
It gets us moving.
Getting excited.
Yeah, it's why we get excited about planning a vacation.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Or starting a new project.
Interesting.
That anticipation.
So how do we use this to our advantage?
Yeah, so how can we use this to our advantage?
When it comes to building?
When it comes to building better habits.
Better habits.
One technique is temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling.
This is where you link something you need to do with something you want to do.
Oh.
So maybe you only allow yourself to listen to your favorite podcast while you're doing chores.
I see. So you're like...
So you're basically bribing yourself.
I'm bribing myself. Yeah, with a little entertainment.
I can get behind that.
Right.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready to make things easier.
Make it easy, right?
Make it easy.
That's the next one.
That's the next law, yeah. Make it easy.
Yeah.
This one...
feels like it should be on a T-shirt.
It does. It's very appealing. Who doesn't want things to be easy?
Exactly.
But there's actually more to it.
More to it than just,
Than just wishing for it.
Yeah, wishing for a shortcut.
Right.
Clary argues that it's about reducing friction.
Friction.
Those little obstacles that kind of stand between us.
Between us and our habits.
And the habit we want to build.
Right. So if I'm trying to write every morning.
Okay. Yeah.
But my desk is like piled high with...
We'll call it creative clutter.
Creative clutter, yeah.
That's friction.
That's friction.
Right.
That visual chaos is sending a signal to your brain.
Oh, interesting.
That this is going to be hard.
Okay.
This writing thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So one of Clear's strategies for making things easier is what he calls the 2-minute rule.
The 2-minute rule. I've heard of this.
You've heard of this.
Yeah, it's about
it's about breaking things down.
Breaking it down
into ridiculously small.
Ridiculously small
starting points.
Like if you want to run a marathon.
Yeah.
You start by just putting on your shoes.
Putting on your shoes.
Right.
Exactly.
Just get started.
You make the starting point so easy that it's almost impossible to say no.
Yeah.
The idea is to get over
that initial hurdle.
That initial inertia to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, just to get going.
Even if it's just a tiny roll at first.
Okay, so I've cleared my desk. I've committed to just 2 minutes of writing.
2 minutes, that's it.
2 minutes, I'm feeling good.
You're feeling good, okay.
What else can I do?
So this is where...
To make this new habit?
Environment design comes in.
Environment design.
Yeah, and this is about making subtle changes to your surroundings.
Okay.
To encourage good habits.
Okay.
And discourage bad ones.
So it's not just about me.
It's not just about willpower.
Right.
It's about setting up your space.
My space.
Yeah, in a way.
To work for me.
That supports your goals.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So give me an example.
Okay, let's say you're trying to eat healthier.
Okay.
So instead of just relying on willpower.
Right.
You redesign your kitchen.
My kitchen?
Yeah, you put the healthy snacks.
Okay.
Front and center.
Front and center.
You make them visually appealing.
All right.
And those less healthy choices. You put those out of sight.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind, exactly.
So it's like...
So you're creating visual cues that align with your desired habit.
Yeah, yeah, okay, interesting.
Right.
And the opposite then is true.
The reverse is true as well.
Right.
So if you're trying to reduce your screen time, create friction by putting your phone in a drawer.
Interesting.
Or even in another room.
Okay, so you're like making it harder to get to.
You're making it harder to access that bad habit.
Yeah.
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 Okay, I like that.
So there's a lot you can do with environment design.
Yeah, so we're
both for good habits and bad habits.
Thinking about friction.
Thinking about friction, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Thinking about how to reduce it.
Reducing friction, increasing friction.
For good habits.
Yeah.
Increase it for bad habits.
Exactly.
There's this concept that Clear talks about that I thought was really interesting. Yeah. It's called the explore-exploit trade-off.
The explore-exploit trade-off.
Yeah, can you unpack that one? Yeah, this idea is all about finding that sweet spot between experimentation and focus.
Okay.
So in the early stages of any pursuit, it's important to explore.
To explore.
To try different approaches.
Right.
To see what works best for you.
So going back to our writing example.
Yeah, to our writing example.
Maybe try writing at different times.
Different times of day.
Right. Different locations.
Different locations.
Maybe even try like...
Different genres.
Different types of writing. Right. To see like...
Yeah, you're gathering data
What works for me?
Figuring out what resonates with you.
Yeah, okay.
What feels effortless and enjoyable.
Okay, so I'm exploring.
You're exploring.
I'm figuring out what works best for me.
And then once you've done that exploration, you can shift to exploiting those strengths.
Exploiting. Oh, interesting.
Focusing on the areas where you excel.
So I'm not just...
And maximizing your potential.
Hopping around.
You don't want to spend your whole life...
From thing to thing.
Hopping from one hobby to another.
Right.
Without ever really mastering anything.
I've been there.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So you explore.
Explore.
You find your groove.
Find my groove.
And then you double down.
And I double down.
On what works.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Explore, exploit.
Explore, exploit.
Okay, now.
Yeah.
What about when things get tough?
Yeah.
Because...
But let's be real.
We're not going to be in that flow state.
We're not going to be perfect.
All the time.
All the time, right.
Setbacks are inevitable.
So what do?
The key is to develop a resilient mindset.
Okay.
And Clear talks about the importance of not breaking the chain.
Not breaking the chain. Okay.
So this is about building a streak of successful days.
Yeah. I like that.
And even a small action done consistently contributes to that chain. So it's like a visual reminder.
It's a visual reminder of your progress.
Yeah, of my progress.
Yeah, it makes the small daily actions feel significant.
Okay.
Right.
And what if I do break the chain?
If you do slip up, Claire has a great rule.
Okay.
Never miss twice.
Never miss twice.
Yeah.
So if
you miss a day of writing...
Miss a day.
Don't beat yourself up about it.
Okay.
Just get back on track.
Get back on track.
As soon as possible.
It's about progress, not perfection.
It's about progress, not perfection. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of progress.
Okay.
Clear also talks about the power of reflection.
Reflection.
Yeah.
How does that fit into all of this?
Yeah. What is that all about?
So reflection is crucial for growth.
Okay.
It's about taking a step back, asking yourself, what's working?
Okay.
What's not?
Yeah.
What can I tweak? What can I learn from my experiences?
So it's like...
It's like having a debriefing with yourself.
Debriefing.
Yeah, analyzing your strategies.
Okay.
Making adjustments as needed.
Making adjustments.
Even top performers, like Olympic athletes.
Okay.
Rely on reflection.
To improve.
To constantly refine their training and improve their performance.
It's about learning from your mistakes.
It's about learning from your experiences.
Yeah.
Both the successes and the setbacks.
Okay. So we're...
Yeah. So reflection is a really important part of this process.
Okay. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
We've talked about the habit loop.
The habit loop.
The 4 laws.
4 laws.
The explore, exploit, trade-off.
Explore, exploit.
Environment design.
Environment design.
The power of reflection.
Reflection.
But there's one key piece.
One key piece?
That we haven't fully
explored yet.
Explored. And that's this idea.
And that's the idea.
That our habits. Are ultimately. Expressions of our identity.
Expressions of our identity. Yeah. That's where the real magic happens.
That's what we're going to talk about.
In that shift.
Next.
From outcome-based habits.
When we come back.
To identity-based habits.
Welcome back. Ready to wrap up our look at habits.
Ready when you are.
So we've explored the science. We've explored how to think about them.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about...
how to put it all into practice.
Yeah. How to actually...
like rubber meets the road.
Yeah. How to make this work.
Exactly.
In our own lives.
Yeah. One of my favorite techniques from Atomic Habits is temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling.
Remember how we talked about our brains loving anticipation? This taps right into that.
Okay, yeah, remind me.
So it's about linking an activity you need to do with something you want to do.
Okay.
So for example, let's say you're trying to make exercise a regular habit.
Yeah.
But you find yourself glued to the latest season of your favorite show.
Yeah, happens to the best of us.
Temptation bundling would say, only allow yourself
to
watch that show while you're on the treadmill.
Oh, okay.
So you're basically turning
it into a reward.
Something you'd normally avoid into a reward.
Okay, yeah. I could see that working.
Yeah, it can be really effective.
What about, though, when...
motivation dips.
Motivation dips. Yeah, we've all been there.
It happens.
You start off strong.
Yeah.
Life gets in the way.
Life gets in the way.
That's where habit tracking comes in.
Habit tracking.
It's like having a visual scorecard. For your efforts.
So I'm actually...
You're not just relying on memory or good intentions.
Letting it concrete.
You're actually making your progress concrete.
Right. Okay.
Exactly. Whether it's marking off days on a calendar, using an app, or even a simple notebook.
Yeah.
That visual record.
I've heard of people who use...
Can be incredibly motivating. Those don't break the chain calendars.
Yes, exactly. That's a great example.
Is that kind of the same idea?
It is. Yeah. You don't want to disrupt that chain.
Right. And it makes it feel real.
It makes it feel real. It makes it feel significant.
Okay.
And don't forget the power of celebrating.
Oh, yeah.
Those small wins along the way.
Celebrate the small wins.
Yeah, every time you hit a milestone.
Yeah.
No matter how small.
Yeah.
Take a moment to acknowledge your effort.
Like little high fives along the way.
Exactly, like little high fives.
Yeah, it's easy to
get so focused on the end goal.
Get focused on the end goal.
That we forget to celebrate the journey.
Yeah.
So celebrating those little victories
keeps you going.
Keeps the momentum going.
Okay, I like that.
Right.
Remember how we talked about environment design?
Environment design.
So this isn't just about...
This applies to both building good habits and breaking bad ones.
All right, right.
Cleric calls this making good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible.
All right, so that sounds a little...
It does sound a little...
Jedi mind tricky.
Jedi mind trick.
Right. But I'm intrigued.
Yeah, but how does that actually work?
Yeah, how do we actually do that?
It's about taking control of the cues and triggers in your environment.
Right.
So let's say you're trying to cut back on sugar.
Okay.
Well, step one is don't keep sugary snacks in your house.
Oh, so just get it out of there.
If they're not there, you're much less likely to eat them.
Oh, so you're not even...
It's about removing the temptation.
Yeah, you're not even tempted.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it's about strategic laziness.
Strategic laziness.
Okay.
You could put it that way.
I like that.
And conversely, to make a good habit inevitable.
Okay.
Set yourself up for success.
Okay.
So lay out your workout clothes the night before.
Oh, okay.
Pack a healthy lunch.
Anything that makes it easier. Anything that reduces the friction of starting the habit.
Okay, got it.
Right.
What about breaking bad habits?
Breaking bad habits, yeah.
This can be really tough.
They can be really stubborn.
Yeah.
So he suggests using a technique that he calls inversion.
Inversion.
And this is basically flipping the 4 laws.
Flipping the 4 laws.
On their head.
Oh, interesting.
To make bad habits less appealing.
Okay, I like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so walk me through it.
Okay.
Instead of make it obvious, I would.
Make it invisible.
Make it invisible.
So if you're trying to, for example, quit smoking,
okay,
you get rid of all ashtrays.
Okay.
You avoid places where people smoke.
Right.
Make those cigarettes
out of sight, out of mind.
Hard to access, make it invisible.
Okay, so make it attractive becomes...
Make it unattractive.
Make it unattractive.
You focus on the negative consequences.
Oh, okay.
Remind yourself of the health risks.
Okay, yeah.
The cost. Maybe even visualize how smoking damages your body.
Right. And make it easy becomes...
Make it difficult.
Make it difficult.
Increase the friction.
Okay.
Put your cigarettes in a hard-to-reach place.
Okay.
Or if you're trying to curb online shopping.
Right.
Remove your credit card information.
Oh, smart.
From those tempting websites.
Okay.
Make it difficult.
So make it satisfying because...
But unsatisfying.
Make it unsatisfying.
Yeah. And this could involve... finding healthier alternatives to cope with stress or boredom.
So basically
Or even creating a habit contract.
Flipping it all around.
With an accountability partner.
Yeah.
Where you face a consequence for slipping up.
Make those bad habits as unattractive as possible.
Yeah, make them as unappealing as possible.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about... individual habits.
Individual habits.
But what
about the bigger picture?
Yeah, how does it all...
How do all these atomic habits...
fit together to
create a fulfilling life?
Yeah.
That's where it all comes together, right?
Yeah.
Remember, Clear isn't just advocating for a bunch of random good habits.
Right. He's talking about a system.
He's suggesting that we create a system, an ecosystem of habits that supports our values, our goals.
It's not just about
our aspirations.
Checking things off a list.
It's not just about checking boxes. Yeah. It's about building a life.
A life that reflects who we are.
That reflects who we want to be.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's about understanding that small changes made consistently over time can transform us in ways we never thought possible.
It's like that idea that
it's the power.
Discipline equals freedom.
Of atomic habits.
By mastering my habits.
Yeah, by mastering our habits.
I free myself.
We free ourselves to pursue our dreams.
To do the things that I want.
And live a more meaningful life.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to sum it up.
And that is a wrap.
That's a wrap.
On our deep dive.
On our deep dive into atomic habits.
Into atomic habits.
We hope you found this exploration.
We hope this was helpful.
Insightful and empowering.
And, remember.
Remember, the journey of self-improvement is ongoing.
Keep learning.
Keep experimenting. Keep learning.
Keep building those habits.
Keep building those atomic habits.
That will help you.
That will help you create a life you truly love.
A life you love.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.